Hello and welcome to Duke's United Show, the morning roundup on this Monday morning. I hope everyone's having a great day so far. Obviously, we're going to get into a few bits today. We're going to get into Ten Hag's post-match comments from the Fulham game. Excuse me. We're going to get into some news that Maguire is maybe on the chopping block under Ten Hag, maybe looking for a transfer come January. But of course, we can't start today without having to go through everything that Cristiano Ronaldo has been saying in the press to none other than Piers Morgan of all goddamn people. Here's the man himself, Cristiano. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to go for a couple of things. I said this when he first rejoined us last year. I've never seen Cristiano Ronaldo as a Manchester United legend. Legend of the game, 100%. One of the greatest players to ever do it, 100%. But you can go back and see the earlier videos that we've done on this channel with me explaining my entire thought process about Cristiano Ronaldo. He was a good player for us, but only ever did it for 2 years, really, and then moved on. Left under a cloud, claiming that we were treating him like a slave and all this. Left under a cloud then, walked out on us then, was going to join Man City. And this is when I started saying it. No Man United legend who's still in the peak of their powers is going to be going to Man City. You know what I mean? When they're riding high at the top of the league and we're in where we are. Now, people are going to come at me about Peter Schmeichel. Listen, Peter Schmeichel was, 2 years in Portugal, basically retired and came back to an absolute rubbish Man City team. It's not like he was winning the league with them or anything. So we're going to get into some of his comments. Obviously, I can't believe he gave to Piers Morgan of all people. To be quite honest with you, it's disgusting the way Piers Morgan twerks for Cristiano Ronaldo. Absolutely disgraceful that a grown-ass man would do that. Listen, I know there's a lot of his fans out there that are big Ronaldo fans that feel that he isn't in the wrong here. For me, it's disgraceful what he's just done. I'm club before player, always will be, always have been. So we'll get into his main point straight away in the article. He says he feels betrayed by Manchester United. He says that he is being blamed for everything that's gone wrong with the club since he's returned, that he's now being turned into a black sheep of Manchester United and that people are trying to force him out of the club. Force you out of the club, mate. In the summer, you said you wanted to leave. You know, refuse to come to pre-season. Yes, we understand that your little girl was unwell, so that might be extenuating circumstances, but didn't come all pre-season, didn't expect to be getting played. Come on now. You know, if Martial had remained fit, you wouldn't have got a minute this year, really, apart from the Europa League, mate. So, to be acting now like you're getting forced, as exact quote, that he's being actively forced out of Manchester United is just ridiculous to me. And it just comes back to, it's always about Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, his professionalism is never in question until things aren't going his way. And now all of the toys are out of the pram. Every toy. You know what I mean? To be doing this just before the World Cup, before we break up and everything, with all your squad not being able to, being away and not being able to call you up on what you said, it's a coward's move. It's a coward's move from Ronaldo. Pure cowardness. I don't care what anyone says about that. It's ridiculous. The timing of this release is ridiculous. It's a disgrace. And I mean that. It is an absolute disgrace. To be quite honest, Cristiano Ronaldo should be ashamed of himself. 100% ashamed of himself. Just like I would have said about Pogba, this energy would go. Same as I said about Maguire when he's releasing statements like this. Same as I said about Luke Shaw when he came out with saying he didn't feel loved. It's disgraceful. You keep this stuff in-house, mate. You know, you don't start bringing it out. And you certainly don't start going to our rivals' fans and giving it to them. I don't care what your relationship with Piers Morgan is like. And honestly, the glee with which Piers Morgan wrote this article in The Sun, you can feel it. You can absolutely feel it. He was loving every second of it. It's disgraceful behaviour. So he moves on, Ronaldo. He keeps going down, saying that he's had 3 bosses in just over a year and a half, and although he's got nothing bad to say about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, his former teammate. The other two, however, Eric Ten Hag and Ralph Rangnick, he does not hold back. Coming in on Ralph Rangnick, I've never even heard of him. This is disgraceful from Ronaldo again. His actual comments were, if you're not even a coach, how are you going to be the boss of Manchester United? I'd never even heard of him. He had spent just 2 years of the last decade as a manager. I mean, if this is the attitude you're coming with, no wonder it didn't work for him with you in the team, mate. No wonder it didn't work, you know? The man is renowned throughout the world of football as something of a tactical genius. Yes, it did not work out for him at Manchester United, but I still don't blame Ten Hag for that. And reading comments like this from Ronaldo, I'm beginning to see what he was saying about the players. Not giving what he wanted, not doing what he had asked, not implementing the training ground regimes that he put into place onto the pitch. So you can tell it. And to come back and say you'd never even heard of him when, like, I mean, I didn't know much about him. But we'd all heard of him. He's the father of the Gengen press, you know what I mean? He's Pep and Klopp's mentor and foot. So don't be giving us this. Don't be playing the victim like you were lumbered with some incompetent fool at the helm while you were trying to save Manchester United. Again, disgraceful. How can you talk about a fellow professional like this? I mean, we'll get into his Wayne Rooney comments in a minute as well. But how can you talk about fellow professionals like this? It's disgusting from him. So, listen, people are going to already be saying, like, oh, where do we go from here? Personally, I don't even see how he comes back to the training ground. I don't see it. We've got to get rid of him. And if that's a freebie, just let him go. Just let him go. We don't need this toxicity in the changing room. You know, the thing that was keeping him here for me was the fact I keep coming back to, listen, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. He's a professional. He'll give his all for the team whenever he's playing. It's beginning to sound like he doesn't. It's beginning to sound like he picks and chooses when he's going to give us his all. Let him go. I mean, I'd hate to see him go to another Premier League club because you know if he goes to a Chelsea, which is probably the most likely destination, he'll rip up. He will rip up. He's still one of the best players in the world. He just doesn't work in our system. And he has refused to try and get to our system as well because he's Cristiano Ronaldo. I understand that. You know, I don't have that much gripe with him not trying to implement a new way of playing at 38. You know, I really don't. But to come out and act like we've thrown you under the bus, like Man United have treated you poorly. I mean, I'm sorry. I know some people don't agree with this point of view, but the man gets paid £28 million a year from us to play football. That's £28 million a year. You need to shut up and sit down and do your job, mate. I'm sorry. Like, there may be a take that not a lot of people like, you know what I mean? Because if you're unhappy in the workplace, you should have the ability to speak out. But that's in-house, not to Piers Morgan for the Sun, mate. Not for an interview that's going to be seen by millions and millions of people just because your stock's falling a little bit because you haven't been playing enough recently, which is where I see this coming from. This is what I mean. Like, the moment it's not about Ronaldo, his toys are out of the pram, you know? We should be sitting here, and I will get into yesterday's game. We should be sitting here talking about a solid 3 points, but no, we're on Ronaldo again. It's just disgusting what he said. So yeah, and Ten Hag wasn't the only one to feel the wrath of Cristiano Ronaldo. He moved on to Eric Ten Hag, his current gaffer, and his direct quote: "I don't have respect for him." Where do we go from there? I don't have respect for him because he hasn't shown respect towards me. I mean, what more respect? Maybe something's gone down inside the club that we don't know about. Obviously, the full interview isn't coming out till Wednesday, I think. We will see it on TV. These are just the bits that Piers Morgan has decided are worthy to put in the Sun. But where do we go from there? I've seen nothing but respect from Ten Hag towards Ronaldo. I mean, if Ronaldo's saying that respect is shown by him getting starting positions and minutes on the pitch, then, mate, you haven't earned that this season. That's not respect. That's not about respect. That's about what's best for the team. But apart from that, I can't see where he's coming from. And to turn around and say in the middle of a season that you don't have respect for your current manager, I'm sorry. I'd love to see some Ronaldo fans defend this. I really would. You know, I'd love to see what angle you're going to take on how this isn't one of the most disrespectful things you've ever seen in football. You can't have a current player turning around and saying he doesn't respect the gaffer. And this is going to put Ten Hag in a position now because he can't play him ever again in my mind. I don't know how everyone else feels about this, but I don't think you can ever play Ronaldo again. We've got Curtis War. I will forever support Manchester United forever and always. You know it, mate. You know it, as will I. That's what I'm saying. Club first, players second in my mind. Always will be. You know, I've loved many a player at this team, but we've lost them before. We've let them go before. Fergie was king of this. Or, you know what I mean? If this was Alex Ferguson in his prime, Ronaldo would be gone. He would have been gone already. You know what I mean? Rumours would have been circulating that he's on his way out the door. I presume there's some... From what I understand, Joel Glazer is adamant he doesn't want Ronaldo to go, but the rest of the board down, including the manager as well, the hierarchy, all want him to leave. But it's Joel Glazer who's holding it up. And that's just silly. I understand the financial benefits from it, but you can't have this toxicity in the club. And this now is what I'm coming back to. Ten Hag's got a massive decision to make now. Like, can you even have him on the bench? You've got a man who you know doesn't respect you, doesn't respect your style, doesn't respect your decisions, refuses to come on the pitch when you ask him to come on the pitch as a sub, walks off at half time, goes home early in a pre-season friendly. What do you do? You know, like I say, I'm sure wherever he goes, he will He will smash it up. I'm sure he will. Paul James, Aubameyang, Arteta Part 2. What he did, kick him out. I agree, man. I agree, 100%. I think for Arsenal, that was Arteta's biggest and boldest move, and it worked out perfectly for him. You know, it really changed the dynamic of that dressing room. It showed everyone who was boss. It showed that no one's bigger than the club, and that is exactly what I think Ten Hag needs to do now. I think we need to not worry about the financial ramifications of it, or the fact that he'll probably go to Chelsea, which I don't want to see. I don't want to see him at another Premier League club, but it will just prove what I'm saying about Ronaldo. He has no respect for us as a club, as the institution of Manchester United. No respect whatsoever. I mean, he's even dragging Sir Alex's name into this conversation, saying that Sir Alex knows how bad everything is at Man United. Like, keep his name out of your mouth, mate. Sir Alex can speak for himself. He doesn't need you to vocalise his faults for him, mate. He really doesn't. But what Paul said is what I agree with, man. Like, I don't know if that's where you're coming from, Paul. Like, we should just kick him out. Then, but I agree with that entirely. If that is what you're saying, 100%, just kick him out. Say, like, and I mean, I presume at this stage now we could come to an agreement where we don't have to give him any money. You know, like, there's no settlement, there's no fee for it or anything. Just leave, mate. You're obviously not happy here. You're not enjoying your time here. Just call it a day. You know, it's a real shame that this is the way that Cristiano Ronaldo is going to end his Manchester United career. I was one of the many people that was very happy when we re-signed him because I didn't want to see him go City. But as I said at the start of this, I've never seen him as a legend of Man United. Never. I've seen him as a great player for this club and a good servant. But he's just because he's the world's best player, that's Real Madrid's player. The Ronaldo you're thinking of is Real Madrid. We had 2 years of that, and that's it. And the moment he got good enough, he left us. And now, you know, I don't know what's going through his head, because I know he thinks this is a good move. Maybe I'll be wrong, because I think this is very damaging towards him. But maybe I'll be wrong, because it is Cristiano Ronaldo at the end of the day. But I just don't see how people can defend him now. I just don't see it. Paul, again, we need to hear what Ten Hag has to say. 100%. We need to see that. I presume this is what I mean about the way Ronaldo's done it. It's so cowardly because no one's allowed to fight back now because it's the World Cup. I mean, when is Ten Hag's next presser? I don't think there is one, is there? I don't know when. There obviously won't be a pre-match one until, December the 26th, Boxing Day. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. The players aren't going to be able to come back, clap back at him or anything. It's cowardness. I don't use that word lightly, but I mean it. It's a real coward's move from Cristiano Ronaldo. Real coward's move. And it's despicable. A lot of people have pointed to the one thing that he did say that people are respecting him for. I ain't having it. Like, just because he's pulled up the fact that there's been no improvement in our training facilities or the ground or the canteen, etc., since he left in 2009. Yeah, say that when you come, mate. Don't say it now. There's a parting shot, just another dig at Man United. No, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And to be fair, I'm not going to stay on this topic too much longer because it's angering me that the things he said. I mean, that about the training ground and everything, that's angered me. You know what I mean? You don't say them things in anger, like. And what he said about Wayne Rooney, fat shaming Wayne Rooney and stuff, saying that Cristiano Ronaldo's got he's got a better body than Rooney, and he's still playing, and Rooney isn't. Mate, Rooney is always going to be a far bigger legend at Man United than you'll ever be, ever be, mate. So yeah, I think it's time to move on from Cristiano Ronaldo because, like I say, it's getting me down, to be quite honest with you. So let's get into the Fulham versus Manchester United Ten Hag post-match comments and see what he's got to say. I'm going to quickly give a few comments on what I thought about the game. Standouts for me, 100% Christian Eriksen man of the match, in my opinion. His control and his ability to dictate play from that centre midfield is something we have sorely missed for many a year now. Like, as everyone said, probably since Carrick. You know, Pogba was brought in to do that role, never quite materialised for him. I'm not saying that he's a bad player because he's not. He's a quality player, but it just never quite works out for him with us. You know, Herrera was never quite that player. He was much more of like weirdly more like a Scott McTominay style player, but just with better passing on him. So we've been desperate for a player of Christian Eriksen's abilities in the centre of the park for many a moon, and very pleased to see him. Luke Shaw, strides, like definitely becoming stronger and stronger each game. Casemiro proving his worth every game as well. But obviously the young lad, Alejandro Garnacho, ripping it up again with a cameo performance that saw a goal, the winning goal in the 93rd minute, and that's what dreams are made of. That's what dreams are made of for the young player. I feel so happy for him, you know, to do that, to come on, to show your worth, to get the winner, to get the 3 points that were sorely needed after losing to Villa. We really need those 3 points. It must have been an amazing moment and an amazing feeling for the young lads. And I've got nothing but pleasure to see it. You know what I mean? It's just great. But we'll move on into what the gaffer said. So he was asked about whether we're now in a position that is a platform to springboard into top 4 contention after January. And he said, I think so. From the result, definitely, but also the process. You have to analyse the process, and then you see we are improving in a lot of skills during this first half of the season so far. Just the first part. I agree entirely. I've been saying this week in, week out. I think if you've watched Man United every game, especially from last season to this season, you can see the improvements on the pitch. You can see the individual things that are coming together. The tactics, the way he's implementing his style of play onto the pitch. You can see it's improved. I mean, let's face it, Diego Dalot is a completely different player to the man he was last year, as is Lindelof, as is David De Gea. I mean, Scott McTominay is doing really well. Bruno is improving again, getting back to his best. As I already mentioned, Eriksen, Rashford is flying again. Martial looks like he's enjoying his football again. So the process is working, in my opinion. The process is working. He moves on. But we also realise that we are not there. We are not where we want to be, and that we have to invest even more, and we have to work even more. Everyone is an individual, but especially also a team. And if we do that, we can achieve the ambitions we have. Of course, we know investments needed in January. We know that we need a couple of players to really beef out this squad if we're going to 100% take top 4 on towards the end of the season, especially with Newcastle. You know that they're going to be investing in January. You just know they are. Spurs, Conte is always looking for new signings. So, yeah, Chelsea, you presume Chelsea and Liverpool are going to buck their ideas up as well, but it'll become post-World Cup. So we do need to invest because we can't handle injuries at the moment. You know, if we lose another centre-back, we're in dire straits, like serious dire straits. You know, if we lose a right back at the moment, we're having to play Malacia out there because Wan-Bissaka isn't fit enough, etc., etc. If we lose a striker, you know, with Ronaldo now gone, if we lose Martial, Rashford's going to have to play through the centre. So investment is definitely needed, and he's just getting that in there. I like the way Ten Hag's done that, just subtly getting it in there and letting people know. So, Paul, again, always good to Paul. What I enjoyed about our performance yesterday was we never took Fulham for granted. We did with Villa and lost. Yes, I agree with you. We definitely took Villa for granted. I wasn't happy with the performance though yesterday, Paul. I won't lie. I'm sure I don't know if you watched our post-match, which you can go and see on our channel. Make sure you like and subscribe over there. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, obviously. And just leave us a comment, you know what I mean? Whatever you want to leave. Give some film recommendations, what you're watching on TV right now, what you're having for dinner. It all works for the algorithm. So we played well-ish in parts yesterday, but we were lucky to get the win in the end, I think. Very lucky. But I do agree with you. We definitely took them far more seriously than we took Aston Villa, which was really to our detriment, especially with that new manager in there as well. You know, we all know about the new manager bounce. We all know it's coming. We all know it can happen. So, yeah, they're bad. So, we're now moving into Ten Hag's are being asked about our chance creation and our finishing of those chances. That is a point of improvement, he says. You have to kill the game off when the moment is there. And in the first half, we created 3 or 4 big chances. To be fair, they also had 1 or 2 good chances. So the difference has to be 2 goals. So 3-1 was a fair result at half time. Then straight away after half time, you create another big chance. And you have to finish the game. And we didn't do that. And they come back. And this is something that I have been, again, talking about. I think Nathan on the post-match as well, been talking about a lot on the Friday show, Alex and Marcel also, which is we are not finishing our chances off. We're creating enough. We really are. We're creating a lot. But at this level, you can't be missing this many chances. Rashford can't be missing with this many chances. I know Eriksen scored yesterday, but that should have been a second goal from Eriksen, you know. McTominay, what's that header all about, mate? Etc., etc. It goes on. The list goes on. I'm not just picking out individuals. It's the entire team. Our decision-making in the final third is awful. Truly, truly awful. You look at some of the decisions we make, it's baffling sometimes. Bruno as well, very bad for it. As much as I appreciate Bruno and the team, very bad for making final third decisions. Fred is appalling at it. McTominay's not great. You know, this is why you need that the double act of Casemiro and Ericsson, because they're the only two that can do. Bruno can as well, so the trifecta of them three. But the two that you guarantee will pretty much give you a decent pass is Casemiro and Ericsson. But people aren't finishing up. They're not gobbling up these chances. Rashford doesn't seem to be able to slot. Again, Nathan goes into much better detail on this as an ex-Premier League striker, discussing how Rashford should be finishing these chances as he's cutting in from the left with basically the whole goal to his right, instead of just powering it straight at the goalkeeper. Exactly how Garnacho did it. Just a nice little side roller into, you know what I mean, into the bottom corner. Talking of the young lad, this is what Ten Hag had to say about Garnacho. I like good football. I like good footballers. And he is one who can entertain. But in the end, it is about end product. And that is what he brings into the team. He has some good dribbles, maybe already a penalty moment. But in the end, he kept going. Great pass from Ericsson. Great build-up from the whole team because it really was composed. How we played that. But the assist and the finish from Garnacho are really brilliant. And there's no more I can add to that. It's perfectly said. You know, I think Garnacho's now looking pretty much after the World Cup as someone who should be expecting to start. You know, 100%. He's done more in the minutes that he's been on the pitch, like exciting wise, than Sancho, definitely. And I might even go definitely Elanga, and I might even go as far as saying it's Anthony and Rashford as well. Like, he brings more to this team. His ability to drive at players, his ability to take a man on, his ability to scare defenders into making mistakes as well. He's truly, if he continues on this trajectory, obviously there's been rumours about him having a bad attitude. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know whether that was just Ten Hag trying to keep a young player's feet on the ground. You know what I mean? I've seen Fergie do similar things. So I'm hoping that is what it is. But if he continues on this trajectory, we're talking about a world beater. There's no two ways about it. We're talking about one of the brightest talents in world football. Now, we've all seen young players not fulfill their potential. So I'm not saying he 100% will be one of the best players in the world. But the raw talent right now, the potential, there's no ceiling to it. There really isn't. On the goal itself, Ten Hag was waxing lyrical. He was obviously very pleased with the winner, but more importantly, how it came about. I think the whole build-up structure to the attack was composed and really great, he says, especially when you're in that stage of the game. And most of the time you see teams getting into a rush, making mistakes. But we stayed composed and we built up from the back over that left side and we finalised and won the game. And that is a great feeling. And I think that is fair to say. That is fair to say. We kept calm all the way through it. And again, we have to come back to Garnacho and just say, for a young kid of 18 to be that calm in a moment like that, again, just demonstrates the potential that this lad has. He's going to be amazing, hopefully. And yeah, after the World Cup, I would really like to see him fighting for that first team spot. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the game. It was a good game. There's Ten Hag's comments. I think he's done well. And finally, for today's one, the rumours are out that Ten Hag is looking to trim the squad by the summer with key players, Harry Maguire, Fred, and Wan-Bissaka all on the chopping block. And I can see it. Wan-Bissaka not so much, but Fred and Maguire surplus to requirements in this team. I hate to say it. Fred's 30 in the summer, I believe. Definitely trying to get some money for him. Definitely get 20, 30 mil for him. And same with Maguire. I think he's 30 next year. And I mean, we ain't ever getting anywhere near 80 mil for him, obviously. I think you're talking 25 mil again. You know, get the wages off the books, get him. I truly believe that Harry Maguire goes to a different team and performs really well. I think he's a good player. He just isn't good for Man United. He just hasn't been. But you like an Everton, you know, maybe even a Newcastle, but no, they're playing different football now. But yeah, an Everton, you know, a Leicester again, go back home. Like any of these teams, to be quite honest with you, Southampton, anyone that could afford him, Villa, I can see him doing really well for him. I really can. He's not a bad player. Same with Fred. I can see Fred move into like a Roma, you know, or an Atletico Madrid or something, and doing really well for them as well, you know, 100%. And Wan-Bissaka, I'd like to keep. I really would. I think he's still young enough to improve. I don't think he's been given a chance in the Ten Hag system yet. Specifically with Dallow's contract up at the end of the year. Obviously, we've got the year extension, but we want to know how that goes. I'd definitely keep Aaron Wan-Bissaka, 100%. I don't see you selling him on. Obviously, we're going to be losing Ronaldo now as well, you presume. So hopefully, we'll be free with Ronaldo gone, with Maguire gone, with Fred gone. We'll be freeing up nearly 800 grand a week in wages. Madness. Obviously, Ronaldo's on 500 grand a week. I think Harry Maguire's on about 2, and Fred's on about 140. So yeah. So a lot of wage per week to free up in the transfer window just off those 3 players. I mean, I'd take cuts further. Obviously, Phil Jones, great servant to the club, but you're on 110 grand a week. Let him go. I'd probably start thinking. I mean, if we're not going to play Palestri, I'd start thinking about letting him go. There's a few there, man, that you definitely need to start thinking about moving them on. You know, Fred's going, that's decent, because that hopefully opens up a spot for Charlie Savage and Iqbal as well. So, but yeah, it'll be very interesting to see who he does get, if we can get rid of these players as well. Because as I just mentioned, specifically Harry Maguire, that's a hefty wage, and the teams that I'm talking about signing him don't usually go to that extreme on wages. So we will see. But that is it for today, people. Thank you to everyone in the comments. It's been an absolute pleasure. Oh, sorry, Curtis Owar. I've missed a couple of comments. He always says, I do expect Eric Ten Hag. He's done a massive job for Manchester United, and I hope we'll get into top 4. I think we do, Curtis. I think we do, mate. I really do. I think if we can continue on this trajectory with players not getting injured and a couple of reasonable reinforcements in January, it's nailed on for us. If we don't get any of that, I still think we're in a good shout. You know, I really do. Spurs are Spurs. They're Spursy. They always fall off the pace in the end. So, and I know I just said about Liverpool and Chelsea catching up, but we've got a buffer. And that's what I'm saying. If we can just keep that 4-point buffer on Liverpool, then sweet. You know, game on. We'll just keep going. So, yeah. And Paul James as well. I agree with Garf. We drew 1-1, would have been fuming, but with the whole comments. But God, yeah, exactly. You do have to, and it's easier to do today in the cold hard light of day, thinking about the game, because yeah, I said it yesterday on the post match, but really think about it. How angry would we have all been if that had been a 1-1 draw with Fulham? You know, with all those chances missed again. So yeah, we definitely need to get our chance conversion rate up. But yeah, absolute pleasure, everyone. Thanks for being here. I believe we've got not a show now till Friday, because obviously there's no games, so there's no pre-matches coming up. But so yes, you'll see Nathan, Marcel, and Alex on the Dukes United show. And yeah, that's it for me. Thank you for everyone being here. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I say, like and subscribe. As I said, leave a comment as well, please, people. Just makes things, you know, I mean, it just makes people YouTube think that people are watching us, which is always nice. And yeah, peace out, and I'll catch you when I'm back.